The advent of climate change, increasing cases of pests and disease, and the need to produce more food to meet rising demand have made greenhouse farming imperative in Nigeria. Good evening, and welcome to another episode of Transforming Agriculture in Nigeria. Tonight, we shall be exploring greenhouse farming in Nigeria and what advantages it has over open field cultivation. The program will also look at crops that thrive better in a greenhouse while bringing you the experience of some farmers who have taken a bold step of going into greenhouse farming. I'm your host, Gabriel Ujile. Keep watching.
And the production cost, we spend not more than 250 per hectare. And on that 1 hectare, we were able to see 35 to 40 metric tons per hectare. 1 metric ton of cassava per hectare is 50,000. If you realize 35 tons of cassava per hectare and you sell it each ton 50,000, that 50,000 multiplied by 35.
The program starts with news from the agricultural sector, and topping the lineup, stakeholders launch African catfish value chain to boost production, just as stakeholders call on the federal government to use field subsidy funds for agriculture. Details shortly.
The Federal Ministry of Agriculture and Rural Development recently held a stakeholders meeting on preventing the spread of fall armyworm. Fall armyworm is a disease that affects the growth and yield of maize, sorghum, wheat, among other grain crops. Speaking during the meeting, the Permanent Secretary of the Ministry, Ernest Afolabi Omakihe, stated that the meeting of stakeholders in the sorghum subsector became necessary due to the devastating outbreak of fall armyworm in northern Cameroon, which has also affected some states in the northeast of Nigeria. Umakihe, who was represented by one of the directors in the Federal Department of Agriculture, Bernard Okata, urged the experts to work out modalities to contain the spread of the disease in Nigeria.
In the light of this, the ministry views it necessary to convene this meeting of sorghum stakeholders to discuss on the situation and provide necessary mechanism to prevent the spread into and within our country. Our experts, this is a national call to prevent a calamity that could befall our country. We should therefore take this meeting seriously with the aim to protect, improve our food and nutrition security.
Also speaking during the meeting, Professor Rabiu Adam, who was the principal investigator of the Tela maize, a variety which is resistant to fall armyworm, stated that the Institute for Agricultural Research, Zaria, would carry out a research to ensure the development of the sorghum variety that would be resistant to the disease, as well as evolve other measures to control the spread. Rabiu, however, disclosed how to identify the disease and the temporary measures that can be taken to prevent its spread before the institute finds a lasting solution.
The eggs of fall armyworm is very easy to detect in the first 3 weeks, even if you don't go to school. You see a whitish, cottony lump under the leaves. Once you see it, you have to start getting insecticide. Once you allow the eggs to hatch, the larva will have to feed. The feeding diameter is worrying. That will reduce photosynthesis area, dwarf the plant, make the plant stunted, and they reduce the eventual yield. Most of the first problem of fall armyworm, it's not unlike the stem borers. It doesn't cause dead heart, but it will stunt the plant, reduce the photosynthetic area, and delay maturity.
The management and staff of the Federal Ministry of Agriculture and Rural Development recently celebrated its Director, Procurement, Dr. Ofarmata Yakubu Adam, who was recently appointed the Permanent Secretary of the Federal Civil Service Commission. Speaking at the occasion, which served as a send-forth, the Director, Animal Husbandry Services, Winnie Lai Solarin, appreciated Dr. Ofarmata for his impact while in the Federal Ministry of Agriculture and Rural Development. She described Kofar Mata as a diligent, hardworking and forthright officer while advising him on his new appointment.
He pays attention to the minutest details about how you need to succeed, how hard you work. Always ready to give advice and to tell you how careful you need to be in the civil service.
Also speaking during the send-off, the Director of Special Duties Fausat Lawal congratulated Kofar Mata on his appointment and prayed for his success in his new office.
You are good, and I know that wherever you are, you will impact meaningfully on whoever that comes across you. We cannot say it is a loss to Federal Ministry of Agriculture because we know that it's assuming an higher responsibility, but we will miss you. And we know that reward for good work and for being good and for being hard work is to get higher and higher responsibility.
Other directors of the ministry and friends joined in congratulating and wishing him well in his new appointment. Dr. Kofar Mata Yakubu Adam, on his part, appreciated his colleagues for celebrating with him and asked for their support to succeed in his new appointment.
I really feel highly honored. What express my happiness here, standing before you. I did not make it to become Pamsec by myself. Your contribution, all aspects, is already known and appreciated. I continuously need your prayers, your advice, and together we shall lift this country to greater heights. That is the essence why God Almighty placed us where we are.
Every part of Nigeria has something to offer.
The program is transforming agriculture in Nigeria. Greenhouse farming is a farming system that can thrive in every part of Nigeria, be it in the north or southern parts of the country. What exactly does greenhouse farming entail, and what advantage does it have over other systems of farming? The answer to these questions, plus an evaluation of this system of farming, will be our focus in the next segment of the program, Record of the IITA. Keep watching.
Greenhouse agriculture started in the 13th century in the Western world, but it is relatively new in Nigeria. The need for greenhouses hasn't been expedient in Nigeria because to a large extent the country is blessed with a climate that favors most of the crops grown in the country. Climate change and the need to produce more food has necessitated greenhouse farming in Nigeria. What exactly is a greenhouse and what does greenhouse farming entail?
Yes, a greenhouse is nothing but from the word house, okay? It's just a place where you can grow crops in a controlled environment, okay? You may have many greenhouses, but what really makes a greenhouse is that controlled environment. So, because the plant requires a lot of things to be put in place for it to thrive well, because as you said, greenhouse, which means it's a house, okay? Which means you are confining your plant in a closed environment. So for it to thrive well, you need to put in place some facilities that will help the plant to thrive. That means by providing all the necessary requirements and conditions for the plant to grow well.
Greenhouse farming has been used in Nigeria by research institutes, colleges and universities of agriculture in producing different varieties of crops. It helps the scientists to examine a new variety before taking it to the open field for trial. It is also used for growing medicinal plants and flowers. The National Horticulture Research Institute, NIHORT, is an institution of government that has a mandate to develop sustainable horticultural crops in Nigeria. The institute also has the mandate to conduct research into the genetic improvement and production of tropical fruits and vegetables. One way the institute is pursuing this mandate is through the growth of crops in greenhouses. Currently, the institute is into the development of improved varieties of seedlings such as pawpaw, tomatoes, okra, and plantains.
What we do majorly as a plant breeder in NIHORT, I work on tomato, I work on okra, plantain, and pawpaw for their improvements. Here is the breeding nursery for our tomato and okra. Here in these two greenhouses, we have some advanced breeding lines of tomato being evaluated for different traits that are farmer preferred. So we have some at the level of F4 generation, some at F5, some are advanced and ready to go for testing on multi-locational trials.
Greenhouses serve as a good alternative to grow seedlings. After these seedlings are developed and nurtured, they can either be grown in a greenhouse or outside on a regular farmland. Whichever method the farmer uses, there is a good chance for the crop to grow well. Aside NIHORT, other research institutes like the International Institute of Tropical Agriculture (IITA), among others, use greenhouse farming system for research and quality seed production. This is the International Institute of Tropical Agriculture outstation in Kubwa area of the Federal Capital Territory. Its headquarters is in Ibadan, Oyo State. It is a non-profit research institute that has made great impact in research for the development of agricultural crops such as yam, cassava, maize, soybeans, cowpea, plantain, banana, amongst others.
Research is done on all of these crops, and the intention is actually to fight hunger in sub-Saharan Africa, to improve the livelihoods of people, and also to improve the use of natural resources, that is in sub-Saharan Africa. There are stations in Nigeria, apart from Abuja station, we also have a station in Kano. There they focus on work on cowpea and soybean. There is a station in One, in Port Harcourt, where a lot of work is done on bananas and plantains. There is also a research station in Mokwa where scientists just go, they do their research and get the results that they use to improve whatever systems they are trying to improve on.
This is the greenhouse of the International Institute for Tropical Agriculture, where research is done to improve the varieties of yam.
By the box here, we had plants that we planted from tubers, very little tubers that are small as the grain of beans or corn. So those ones, they produced plants, and from the plants we cut vines. A vine like this one has 3 leaves, so from this we can get 3 plants. So we started with a very small tuber, we got the vine, and then we cut it like this. So this is what we plant. This is what we plant. So all of these plants that you see inside here have been planted with something like this. Just a tiny bit of stem and 1 leaf. They will grow, they will give us tubers. And those tubers we are going to use as seed to plant to get bigger tubers.
Aside research institutes, individual farmers and organizations have also keyed into the greenhouse farming because of its advantages. Here in Malam Alu Agro Allied Company in Jigawa State, vegetable crops are cultivated in the greenhouse in commercial quantities. This greenhouse sits on 1 hectare of land.
Our greenhouse, it's in 3 segments. One, we are into production of tomatoes, green pepper, also ornamental flowers. Now the advantage is that you find out farmers that go into open field tomato production, like this time of the year, when the rain falls, when there are so many insects, the yield on the field, open field, is not good because of all the torrential rain, the insects, and so on and so. Tuta, that's the name of the normal disease that first on tomatoes. So the advantage of the greenhouse is that you control the temperature, you control the insects or any infection that will go into the production.
Most of the vegetable crops can do well in the greenhouse, and then a lot of it, and then some flowers, okay? You know, some animated crops, the flowers that we use for decorations, they really do well in the greenhouses, okay? One important thing with the greenhouse, as I told you, is a controlled environment, okay? And then our system is soilless, in the sense that we don't normally use soil, okay? We don't normally use soil, we use a different media for growth, which is cocoa-peat, okay? And that cocoa-peat has a lot of advantages over soil, okay? The cocoa-peat has good wettability, good aeration. You know, within the root zone, you need to have good aeration so that your root will not rotten, okay, and have a lot of fungal infection within the root zone. And then it has good drainage.
Success in greenhouse farming starts from the construction of an enclosed environment, such as a house well equipped with humidifier and ventilation fan for cooling the greenhouse, screen system that regulates the solar radiation, disinfection machine for disinfecting humans and objects that are used in the farm, water reservoirs, fertilizer mixing machines and tanks, a control room where the weather and temperature in the farm is monitored, among others.
As earlier on, I have told you about some of the systems that were used for controlling temperature and relative humidity, okay? This system you are seeing is the fogging system, okay? It's the one responsible for humidity control, okay? Because the greenhouse needs to stay in a certain humidity, okay? Not more than 75%, 65 to 75% relative humidity during the day. So this system, okay, makes sure that the greenhouse stays in that range of relative humidity. And then we have the exhaust fan I told you about. This is the exhaust fan that will try to extract, okay? In case the humidity is too much, then the fan will try to extract the excess humidity and then the hot air out of the greenhouse.
The advantages of greenhouse farming are enormous. It helps in preventing diseases and it has a total control of the nutrient needed by the crops. The yield is also much better than crops grown in the open field.
We plant about 28,000 seedlings, which produces 10 tons per week, goes up to 15 tons per week. We can project that. But those in the open field, you can just plant and pray it doesn't rain, and pray also there is no wind, and pray also the insects don't come. So when you go into, controlled temperature production, which means you know what you plant, you know what you get, so you can make your projections. So that's the advantage, and this is what happens all over.
One interesting fact about farming using greenhouse technology is that it is done irrespective of season. This means that the yield is not dependent on the season.
You can do it at least 4 times in a year. During dry season, you can equally do it at the rainy season, because this place is a greenhouse. You can do it at the greenhouse. Per year, you can do it at least 5 times, because it's something that you just cultivate it at 55 days. Immediately when you plant it, it will start producing flowers after 3 weeks. You started that it will start producing flowers and everything. Let me give you an example with this greenhouse. It's a small place. Like this greenhouse, it contains at least 1,000 stands of this sweet melon, like this. And we're expecting at least 5 seeds from each melon. If you calculate 5 times 1,000, that is like about 5,000. Then, but at outside field, you cannot plant 1,000 in a small place like this.
Aside enhancing production of more food in the country, greenhouse farming also serves as a means of creating jobs and improving livelihoods along the value chain. In our next segment, Partnership for Development, we will see how the greenhouse farming has helped a number of Nigerians. Keep watching.
Whereas some farmers may be out of jobs during the dry season in Nigeria, greenhouse farming provides jobs for many men and women throughout the year. The workers in the greenhouse are using these ropes to stake the tomatoes and other vegetables. They talk to us about their duties in the greenhouse.
We come in well sanitized. We would not want an unhygienic person to come in, as that may disrupt our work. We want everything to be done with utmost cleanliness. Our superiors guide us and we also follow their instructions.
Alhamdulillah, tabbas muna aiki sosai. Muna transplanting tomato.
We thank God Almighty. We are surely working hard. We transplant the tomato into the greenhouse and apply threads on it. After it grows, we then put clips beneath it. The thread goes with the growth of the tomatoes. As the tomatoes grow, there is an unwanted growth that is removed so that the tomato can grow alongside the thread. As it gradually grows, we harvest it, put it in baskets and give it to the mill staff.
Jobs are also created in the area of marketing of greenhouse agricultural produce.
Normally, when we harvest our tomatoes, we push it to the market. We have off-takers that take our tomatoes to the market. We give them the tomatoes, they take them to the market. Okay, normally the Far East, they take the tomatoes, Lagos, Enugu, Port Harcourt, Abuja. Okay, two different markets, the premium market and then the local market, because our production is more than that what the premium market can take. I told you we harvest almost 16 tons of tomatoes per week. So, and the premium market is too small. So we just have to expand to the local market. So those are off-takers. They take our tomatoes both to the premium market and then to...
Although the processes of greenhouse farming are technical, Honorable Farouk Adamu Aliu, Chairman and Chief Executive Officer, Malang Alu Agro-Allied Company, gives assurance of free consultancy for anyone that wishes to go into greenhouse farming.
Our farm is like, a research center. It's open to schools. A lot of schools come to see what we do at no cost, because we feel we should teach something to our people. So, and we have visitation from government functionaries, private persons that are free to come and see. That's why I told you that we are a guinea pig. We don't mind being a guinea pig. So we are open to free consultancy, to anybody that is willing to go into greenhouse production.
Indeed, greenhouse farming holds a lot of potentials for food security, job creation, and improved livelihoods. The venture is almost 100% guaranteed for yield since it is protected from the vagaries of the weather. Greenhouse farming is the way to go, especially with the uncertainty of climate change. This is the much we can take on this episode of the program. Join us again same time, same station next week. Bye for now.